Hi, I'm Trem, and you're listening to Trem Talk.
Me pray every time I feel can't do no different. Swear me have a win. That's why I'ma try again.
So, guys, thank you so much. The response to my first podcast episode was amazing. I am so grateful. I'm not trying to say, yes, I have thousands of listens. That's not what I'm doing it for. I would honestly have been happy if it was just one person listening, but big up each and every one of you that took the time to sit and listen, and to the people that gave me feedback. I'm super grateful for that. And so, yeah, time for episode 2, guys. So, this, my first real actual episode, is going to discuss disappointing people. A friend of mine, big up you, Sash, sent me a video on Reels the other day, and it was this fabulous lady with a pixie cut discussing how important it is that we find a season where we are just disappointing folks. And that really resonated with me because I've been on this very different journey for, I'd say, the last few years, but really since last year, where I felt like I had to take a step back and put myself first in a lot of things. And let's just say it all goes back to being an eldest daughter. Listen, if you're an eldest daughter, we need a support group, okay, for all of us, because there's something about being the eldest daughter where we just take it upon ourselves to save the whole family, and we have to fix this and we have to fix that. No one has actually given us this job per se, but in many occasions, we find ourselves being depended on by our parents and by our families to, just handle stuff. You feel me? For me, I am the eldest of 13 grandpicnic. Yeah. So growing up, I was taking care of my little cousins. Even with, like I said, I was a kid, so nobody was really expecting me to take care of anybody, but I took that upon myself. But to be quite honest with you, for a lot of my sister's formative years, I was there combing her hair, making sure her uniform was ready for school, make sure she do her homework. And, I feel like that kind of stuck with me and kind of shaped how I operate in my relationships, in my friendships, in my romantic relationships, in my career, and just how I walk through life. And last year, I said, you know what, girl, you cannot save everybody, right? You can't save everybody. Everybody cannot be your project. Everybody cannot be your business. Everybody cannot be your problem. And everyone is not your project to fix. Some people either don't want to be fixed or they don't need to be fixed. That's just your problem in your mind that thinks you have to find something in this person to fix. Right? So I said, you know what? What if I stop trying to fix everybody? One. And two, I called it my reciprocity experiment last year. So last year, I looked at my friendships, I looked at my relationships, and I said, you know what? What if I just stop showing up for everybody? What would happen if I am not the friend that always reaches out? If I'm not the friend that makes the plan for us to see each other? What happens if I don't do that anymore in my relationships? Because being the eldest daughter and having the eldest daughter syndrome and wanting to fix everybody, you end up being that friend to everyone. Tremaine's gonna plan the dinner. Tremaine's going to make everything okay. I'm gonna trauma dump on Tremaine because she's going to listen every single time, right? I am that person for everybody, but I was realizing that not many people were there for me in that way. And when you are this type of person, this type A type of person that goes out to fix everybody else's problem, inevitably you become the friend that no one thinks they need to check up on. And the last 2 years of my life have been very tumultuous. And I needed my friends to show up. And it was very hurtful to realize that not even because they were not good people or not good friends, but because of how I had conditioned everyone to think, yeah, man, Tremaine, all right, man, I don't have to worry about she. If something to Tremaine, she could just tell me, right? Like if something's wrong with Trem, she'll let me know. And so I said, what if I just stopped being that person? What if I stopped reaching out? When I tell you crickets, kids, from like 80% of my people. What was also interesting is I was like, if me and someone have a rift, I will not be the person to fix it this time. And what is that going to look like? When I tell you that when people can make a concerted decision and effort to live their lives without you, you do not try to change their minds. Let them stay with them there. So my reciprocity experiment ended up hurting me a lot, but it also revealed a lot to me, and it now informs how I move through life because I feel like everybody has this negative connotation to being selfish. Like, oh, if you're a selfish person, you don't care about nobody, you don't this, you don't that, and re-te-te. Boo-hoo, honey. I am in my me first era, and I'm in my reciprocity era. You get from me what you give. And because of that, I have been disappointing everybody, honey. Everybody. Because I decided that I am going to take care of myself first. And taking care of myself means shedding the eldest daughter syndrome that I have, right? This taking off this cape I was wearing where nobody was asking me to save anybody. But here I am ready to save and show up for everybody and leaving so little of myself for myself. There was nothing left. There was just a husk of sadness and exhaustion, you know? And so I was like, yeah, you get what you give, and that is it. What would happen if you just decided to disappoint people? You're always the friend that shows up to the party, whether you feel good or not. You're gonna show up to the dinner. You're gonna do this. You're the one that's gonna plan it. What if you just say, you know what, guys, I'm not up for it today? What's the worst thing that could happen? If the worst thing that happens is that that person decides that because you chose yourself that evening, that they don't want to be your friend anymore, that is a complete positive. How you show up in this world for to the people that love you and for the people that love you should not be a performance. You're not on all the time. You're a human being. You need rest sometimes. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just don't want to be around people, right? I have this friend. She just happens to rule under the same sign as me, and we make jokes about it all the time that we have nonverbal conversations when we just don't want to do some shit. We will have this fabulous plan for either her to come to my house or she's going or I'm going to her house and we're going to do this and we're going to do that or we're going to go out to dinner, we're going to get dressed and da 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 da. You see, if that evening comes and we don't feel like peopling, because this is usually on a Friday night or a Saturday night after we've been peopling, she's been creating and I've been, I'd say, kind of saving all week. We're just no one doing no more, you know? And we'll text each other, look, I'm in my bed right now. I can't people today. Or if we don't hear from each other by a certain hour, we know what time it is. I wish that kind of friendship on everybody. You should not have to perform and be on all the time for the people that claim that they care about you. People who care about you will understand that, okay, it's okay for you to just not want to do this sometimes, right? I have another friend that setting up those boundaries last year, she has received them with such grace and is like, you know what, I understand, and that's fine. I pray those kinds of friendships on everybody because you have to set the boundaries and you have to be willing to disappoint people and you have to be willing to not be the person that saves everybody all the time. You have to prioritize yourself. No, it doesn't make you a selfish person in a negative way. It makes you a selfish person in a healing and pouring into yourself kind of way. You gotta be willing to save you first before you can save everybody else. And you gotta be willing to only be focused on saving yourself in order to show up for anybody else in your life. Always remember, what is for you will be for you. Who is for you will be for you, and who's against you will be against you. When I looked up in about November of last year, I was like, I am either lonely or at peace because there are so few people around me now than were around me at the beginning of the year and last year. And I didn't feel no ways about it. Like sometimes I'd be like, dang, I wish I could call this person. But I'm like, this person has shown you exactly who they are. Why are you trying to change that? Why are you trying to fix that? What is rekindling that relationship going to do for you than make you lessen yourself again? Do not put yourself in any situation where you have to be less of yourself for anybody. Okay? And myself right now is disappointing everybody. Me no business. If making you happy means I'm going to have to give more of myself than I can handle right now, me cannot give it to you. And I will not give it to you. And that is the end of that. That goes for my friends. That goes for romantic relationships. That goes for family. That goes for everybody. But I'm saying all of this, and it wasn't until last week that I learned that I have to employ that in my career as well. While everything else was on fire last year, including business now, okay? That's a testimony for another time. I'll tell you guys about how last year ended up being the most profitable year of my career while also being the most tumultuous. I'm a Taurus, I don't like change. And there was so many changes. My head was spinning last year. Like in the space of I'd say about 4 to 5 months, literally everything in my life was turned upside down. Every single thing, every corner, everything was upside down. And I threw myself into my work because I can't disappoint my clients. I am literally there to either save them from a situation as their attorney or just to be like a little hope for them or just to do my job. You know what I mean? And I love living by the code that I live by my word when it comes to my clients. A stranger will only trust you based on what you've shown them, and you have to make a good first impression, second, third, fourth, fifth until they get out of your office is my feeling. And so because I hold myself to such high a standard, when I tell you I was killing myself, and I was at work on Christmas Eve working on this case into the night. And I left work feeling fulfilled because, I promised my client I'd deliver on something, and then I did. And then a few weeks later, the same client come cussing me, say I didn't do nothing for them. So I say, ratted no. Look how me kill up myself. Kill up myself, get fever blister, not sleeping, all kind of things going on. Only for this lady come tell me say she disappointed, guys. I said, you know what? That's what I get. I've been practicing boundaries in every other area of my life except when I am at work. Now, some people are listening going, oh no, ma'am, you have them boundaries. No, those boundaries are for my friends who be texting me on Sunday evening about their cousin Ray Ray's case. I will block you. Okay? That kind of boundary is set. But like I said, the boundaries are set in my personal life, but I don't set those boundaries with my clients and with my work. I am absolutely going to challenge myself that by the end of February, that boundary will be set. Okay? I'm going to be okay with disappointing people in the sense that I am not going to go above and beyond to the point where my body is breaking down from exhaustion. Okay? You will expect me to be the best attorney I can be between the hours of 9 and 5. Oh, yes. I am not a personal injury attorney. Big up my friends who are PI attorneys. They work around the clock. I don't know how y'all do it, but I am in my healing era. And for me to be great at my job, I need to fill my own cup. In this dystopian society we live in right now, I absolutely have to make sure I'm watching my mental health. I have to be clear and focused when I'm at the job, doing what I'm supposed to do, when I'm showing up to your interview, when I'm showing up to court. I have to be on and ready. And for me to do that, honey, I can't be working on Christmas Eve. Because guess what? You don't care that I'm here at Christmas Eve. You just care that your business is getting done. right? So when me drop down now, you're only gonna say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't know." And whose fault is that? Nobody but mine. So I will be correcting that going forward. Be okay with disappointing people, honey. Be okay with disappointing people. That really resonated with me. And I honestly could not wait to sit and make this episode because I was like, oh my God, that is so damn true. You don't have to save everybody. Okay? Release the bounds of being the eldest daughter. Release it. I release you from it in Jesus' name. Release yourself from it. Okay? The only person that is perfect and can save everybody is mighty God Himself. That's the only person that can release everybody and can save everybody. Your job is not to be here to save everybody. Your job is to live this life. We are here 1 minute and we are gone the next. Every day we hear about somebody who was here and then boops, dropped dead. Somebody I knew dropped dead in his Jesus year. Just 1 minute he was here, the next minute he was not. And that has been sticking with me. And I'm like, listen, as my friend Chanel would say, we're going dead enough. We are all gonna die, honey. We are all not here forever. So what? Look at your life right now and ask yourself the question I asked myself when I turned 35 last year. Is this what I want the next however old you are? For instance, I turned 35 and I said, is this what I want the next 35 years of my life to look like? Sit and ask yourself that question. And if that answer is no, you sit and think about every area of your life where there is no reciprocity and where you are so scared of disappointing people that you are chipping away at yourself till almost nothing is left. You sit and think about that, and then you let me know if you're going to continue wearing that damn cape that's weighing you down. Take it off. Disappoint them. Till next time, I'm Trem. Thank you for coming to Trem Talk.